นะคะแต่เดิมจะเป็นท่านทูตมิสเตอร์นักเก็ตซิงนะคะท่านทูตอินเดียประจำประเทศไทยท่านจะมากล่าว keynote speech ในหัวข้อปรัชญาอินเดียและอิทธิพลต่อดินแดนสุวรรณภูมิในมุมมองในโลกปัจจุบันนะคะแต่ว่าท่านได้แจ้งมาว่าวันนี้ His Excellency ได้ติดภารกิจนะคะภารกิจซึ่งเป็นเรื่องหน้าที่สำคัญในเวลานี้ท่านเลยได้ assign นะคะมอบหมายให้counselor หรือว่าท่านเลขาที่ปรึกษาเนี่ยคือมิสเตอร์อาร์มูทูมาอ่าน speech ให้เราแทนนะคะในช่วงนี้
I just contact he's coming he's logging in
There are many interesting program and activity waiting for us. Apart from keynote speech, we still have the panel discussion. There will be 5 intellectual scholars are going to exchange idea and sharing some insightful knowledge among us from various countries of the world. The name นะคะ Professor Dr. สมภารพรหมทา Dr. สนัทวิเชนสันดาระ Professor นัตรจูอาดาระสุมารี Dr. สนัท from ศรีลังกา Professor นัตรจูอาดาระสุภารี from India Assistant Professor Dr. โบดิอุตโมดิธิสัมปันโน from Indonesia and Professor Dr. Gopara Krishnan from India นะคะ The panel discussion ในช่วงต่อจากนี้แล้วก็ after หลังจากช่วงนี้ก็จะเป็นpaper presentation from scholars teacher lecturers and students นะคะ of philosophy and other department นะคะ coming to present their own paper dealing with philosophy, religion, cultural study, innovation, something like that นะคะหลังจากนี้ก็จะมี
Dr. Kaimuk, I have a request.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Professor Nataraju from India.
Hello, hi, how are you?
I'm fine. During the panel discussion, can you keep my talk in the beginning? I have a meeting to leave in the panel discussion.
Okay, you will be the first one.
Okay. First or second speaker. First or make me first speaker or second speaker. I have to attend a meeting in the university.
Okay, now Mr. Mutu has arrived. He's ready to library.
Okay.
Space.
Okay. During this time, may I invite Mr. R. Mutu, Counselor, Embassy of India, to deliver a keynote speech on Indian philosophy and its influence on Suvarnabhumi contemporary perspective. Please.
Sir, your microphone not. Okay, sir.
Hello. We cannot hear your voice. Maybe you have to switch on your microphone first.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
สวัสดีค่ะ I am speaking on behalf of our ambassador, Mr. Nagesh Singh. So I am representing him. I am Muthu, the counselor here, as you have said. The most venerable Professor Pradhamma Vajra Bandit, Rector, Mahachulalankon Raja Vidyalaya University, the venerated Maha Shanga, distinguished members of the faculty, dear students and distinguished guests. It's my privilege to have been invited to deliver this address on Indian philosophy and its influence on Swarnabhumi. Contemporary perspectives. I profusely apologize for not being able to deliver these remarks myself, as I have been summoned to Bon Rajdhani on a previously unforeseen official duty, and from where it was difficult for me to join you and pay my respects to this august audience and share my thoughts. I am also humbled that I am speaking to such a learned and distinguished groups of venerable guests. Distinguished guests, let me begin by conveying my greetings and best wishes to everyone in advance for a very auspicious Asada Purnima or Ashan Buksha, as you call it here in Thailand. It was also marked the beginning of Varshavas or Vasas. In India, we celebrate this auspicious day as Dharma Chakra Pravartan Day. Almost 2600 years ago, after attaining enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, Lord Buddha arrived in Sarnath on this day and delivered his first sermon to his first 5 disciples in the Deer Park. Humanity was blessed on this auspicious day by receiving Lord Buddha's eternal message of Dhamma. It is, therefore, the perfect occasion for us to rededicate ourselves to follow the noble path shown by the Lord and follow his teachings in our thoughts and actions. Distinguished guests, Swarnabhumi, in fact, the entire Southeast Asia region, has strong cultural, religious, and linguistic linkages with India since ancient times. Even the name of Swarnabhumi was given to this region by Indians. The recorded history of our connections can be traced back to nearly 290 BC or even earlier. The result of those fertile cultural exchanges is evident today in our shared beliefs, traditions, cultural practices, etc. From Buddhism to Hinduism, from Pali and Sanskrit to Thai language, from Songkran to Loi Krathon here in Thailand, to Sankranti and Boita Bandhana in India, from Ramayana to Ramkain, the lists are endless. In my last 8 months in this great country, every day I am amazed to come across the commonalities that exist between India and Swarnabhumi in religious practices and philosophy, language, literature, art, dance, textiles, architecture, etc. These are contemporary evidences of a rich and fertile syncretic culture that India and Thailand share, which has evolved over a millennia of change. Happily, these binds us in bonds of eternal friendship and brotherhood. Interestingly, the mutual enrichment and synthesis of our cultures followed a long and thriving exchange of goods, peoples, and thoughts between ancient India and Swarnabhumi. However, unlike other examples in the world history where trade brought exploitative colonization and destruction of native cultures, led to a peaceful and more evolved shared cultural heritage. Our composite and shared cultural heritage was and is a source of enlightenment, creativity, and knowledge for the well-being of our two peoples. From ancient times to today, it is the people-to-people connect through common faith and philosophy, trade and travel, which has guided and sustained relationship between India and Swarnabhumi. More importantly, these have evolved without any political disputes, violent conquests, or forced conversions. In fact, our multifaceted exchanges, which strengthened and spread Dhamma's eternal and universal message of non-violence, peaceful coexistence, love and two societies, but also have been a force of good for the region and beyond. Cultural and philosophical impact on Southeast Asia. We share a long history of cultural and commercial relations. The classics from India carry references of the Southeast Asia using various names such as Kathakosha, Swarnabhumi, or Swarnadeepa. The unique features of India's relationship with countries of this region and Thailand in particular is the cultural and commercial interaction was never confused with the colonial and commercial domination or economic exploitation. bonds without political motives, that trade can proceed without imperialistic designs, settlements can take place without colonial excesses, and that literature, religion, and language can be accepted without conversion, are aptly evidenced in the more than 2 millennium old interactions between India and Swarnabhumi. Yes, Buddhism is one and perhaps the most important of our shared heritage, which after its introduction to Swarnabhumi by emissaries sent by Emperor Ashoka the Great in the 3rd century BC, has become the defining cultural identity of Thailand and integral to the daily lives of the Thai people. Though Buddhism came to Swarnabhumi through the maritime routes directly from ancient India and much later from Sri Lanka, it is the philosophical message of the great religion that was nurtured and further evolved in this region and thereby shaped its emergence as a modern and developed nation state. Another important aspect of our shared cultural and philosophical influence is the beautiful coexistence of Buddhism and Hinduism in Swarnabhumi. The forms of religious practice, literature, and art, which is seen in this predominantly Buddhist country, and the whole of Swarnabhumi is unique and exemplary. It is the manifestation and the exemplar of peaceful coexistence, universal brotherhood, and fundamental unity of all religions. This was the best defined in the Hindu scriptures, the Upanishads, which said, Eham Sat, Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, meaning truth is one. Sages call it by different names. The peaceful coexistence and flourishing in Buddhism and Hinduism in Thailand is a living example of this eternal message. It can be safely said that what India and Thailand share in terms of religion, mythology, literature, and philosophical interaction between our people is now deeply absorbed into our cultures, and at times we don't even realize it. In this age of globalization, relationship between India and the Mekong region is very important. Government of India's active policy aims at strengthening political, economical, cultural, and security relations with the Southeast Asian region. We are cognizant that these ties are rooted in cultural, historical, and geographical linkages since time immemorial. India has been a destination for Buddhist pilgrimage since the times of Emperor Ashoka. It has also been the destination for learning and studying Buddhist philosophy, literature, arts, Sanskrit, and Pali since ancient times. At the great universities of Nalanda, Vikramashila, Vallabhi, Udantapuri, etc. In modern times, institutions such as Banaras Hindu University, Pune University, Delhi University, Mysore, Nagpur, now Nalanda universities have been the academic home of hundreds of students from Swarnabhumi region. Many great Thai Sangha masters have studied from these universities of Buddhist learning in contemporary times. It can be safely said that ancient philosophies, traditions, beliefs that emerged out of India found a welcoming home in Swarnabhumi and in turn got further enriched and evolved by a fertile interaction with host philosophies and traditions. The wide-ranging influence of this cross-cultural marriage continues to be seen in our daily lives today in this beautiful land of smiles, better known as Swarnabhumi. Thank you. Kapun Kap.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amutu, Counselor, Embassy of India. Okay. Please give our best regard to Mr. Naget Singh, Ambassador of India to Thailand. So,
yeah, thank you.
Okay. India and Thailand have over a millennium-old religious, cultural, philosophical, and trade links. This special relationship exists and being carried forward from generation to generation. And the links and bonds are strengthened strongly up till now. So thank you so much. Next. One of the highlights of our afternoon program is panel discussion. We will have a very interesting discussion among distinguished professors who are well-known scholars. Panelists will discuss on the topic Indian philosophy and its influence on Suvarnabhumi, past, present, and future. The name of the panelists are as follows. So I will introduce you the name of the panelists first. The first one, Professor Dr. Sompan Pomta, Director of MCU Center for the Study of Buddhist Philosophy, Graduate School,ฬาลงกรณราชวิทยาลัย University from Thailand. Second one, Dr. Sanat Vijen Sandara, Lecturer, Department of Classical Language, University of Peradeniya, Kandy, Sri Lanka. The third, Professor Nataraju Adarasupari, Dean Suvai Pariradhakrishnan, Aham University, India. Fourth, Assistant Professor Dr. Bodhi Uttamo Dithisambano from Samaritanga Buddhist College, Indonesia. Five, Professor Dr. The panel discussion will be guided and moderated by Venerable Assistant Professor Dr. Associate Dean
Thank you very much. We'll come back once again to the afternoon session. In this session, we have, I think, it's a quite serious topic that we are going. The great professor, lecturer from different country to join to share, especially when we talked about its influence that affected past, even now affecting present, and it will affect influence in the future. From this theme, the Dean of Graduate School, he want to know more and want to learn more. And he wants to provide this opportunity for our students and general people who are actively and eagerly interested in the topic. So before we start, without further ado, I should take this opportunity to give some information, personal biodata or curriculum with of our distinguished guests that graduate school invited today. The first one, let me introduce, if you are here, please show you up. Dr. Sanat Vijay Sundara from Department of Classical Languages, Faculty of Art, University of Peradeniya, Kandy, Sri Lanka. He is one of my friends who used to study same university, University of Pune, long time back, that we share, you know, the moment of Thai food, the moment of Sri Lankan food there. But today we are going to share the moment of academic food, food for thought. And I try to persuade him to join this session by giving some kind of idea that if he join this discussion, our discussion will be a fruitful discussion. So if you are here, please show you up. And he is very, very, you know, active in terms of academics sharing. And the second one in the United Day of Vesak, Professor Nataraju Adarasupali from Assam University. And of course, the message that you just passed to us just now that you want to take first, because you have some very important, meeting that you, as a, director of Center of Indian Knowledge System, and of course, you also occupy the position of Dean of the faculty. So, when you accepted our invitation, I was very, very happy to hear, and now I am extremely happy that you are with us today. So I hope that your idea will enlighten us, especially to enjoy this seminar today. So, sir, you are here, right? So he is here. Number 3. He is here. Now, study at graduate school. He completed Buddhist study from graduate school. He's former our student. Now I heard that he just got appointed as assistant professor from the government. Venerable Buddhi Otomo Titha Sampanno. He is from Samaratungka Buddhist College from Indonesia. He stay very near to Borobudur. So if some of us going there or have plan to go there, this is opportunity to make friend with him, and we can explore Borobudur when we go there, and he will be your guide. I also saw him; he's already joined the function. Yeah. Number four, he's the last panelist because I miss him when I went to south of India, especially University of Madras. He was there as a head of department. At that time, I got opportunity to interact with him. I discussed many things, especially life, philosophy of life with him. So I still impressed by the way he treated me at that time. Professor Kopalakisnan from Madras University still invited, keep asking him to Thailand to be like me by asking some information whether he could speak that or not. Then I told him our seminar today. Number 5, the last one from Thailand. So he is a very, very well-known professor, and his name is Professor Dr. Somphan Promata. Formerly, he worked for the Department of Philosophy inฬาลงกรณ University. Later on, after retired, he came to MCU มหาจุฬาลงกรณราชวิทยาลัย joining graduate school and teaching philosophy. Every week, we all together teach philosophy, and he published many academic work by Amazon. So if you want to explore his idea, you want to get more about his idea, you can log in to Amazon and order book from there. He is specialized in many areas of philosophy, philosophy of language, ethics, religion. Even also he's his hobby is like a composer. He composed the song, play piano, play local music instrument, and then he's very expert in philosophy. And for us, without him, we could not even walk further. So he's here with us on the theme of Indian philosophy, its influence on Suvarnabhumi or Suvarnabhumi. Present, we may look back to the past before we know the present. Even we can look into the future. Past, present, and future. Today, we are very happy to welcome you on this request to share the idea on the theme that we mentioned it. And hopefully, after learning, we can grow some conceptual frameworks of Indian philosophy and its influence, and we can do a further work after we learn from this session. So I hope this session will be a good session and be a good moment for all of us to learn together. So I take this opportunity to call upon Professor Adara Supali to take the stage first. Sir, this stage is yours. Please, you are given 15 or 20 minutes. So if you have additional point, maybe the second round, you may take maybe 5 minutes each. Okay. Then everyone can have the equal moment to share the idea. Please do. This stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and for this opportunity, Dr. Framaha Siddhivaro. As you said, I was attending Vaishakhi celebrations, Buddha Purnima celebrations on June 1st and 2nd at the United Nations, Bangkok. I have visited several times Mahachula University. I have delivered lectures on Mahayana, Buddhist philosophy in Southeast Asia, etc. My salutations to all the monks at Mahachula University. I have great respect for this place, and I have visited several times, as I said. Speaking about Thai Theravada Buddhism society, cosmology, and Indian philosophy. Within 20 minutes is a very hard task, but I'll try to give you glimpses of some of the ideas. My material that I have will require 1 hour to complete, but within 20 minutes, I'll give you a glimpse of how the society, the thinking in the society has common factors. And somebody in the morning from Sri Lanka, I believe, professor was saying that, Buddhist philosophy, Buddhism has influenced Suvarna Bhumi and not Indian philosophy. Indian philosophy, Buddhism is not distinct from Indian philosophy. For God's sake, there are several schools of Indian thought. We have Nyaya Vaisheshika, Vedanta, Mimamsa, Sankhya, and Buddhism, Jainism, Charvakas. We consider all of them different schools of Indian philosophy. And Buddhist philosophy is not separate from Indian philosophy. They are not two different categories. Coming back to some of the comments that I have, as I was studying society, social structures, their belief system of Theravada Thai Buddhism, Thai Buddhists, as I have visited the country several times, I was observing their understanding of life and their belief system. I thought I will throw some light on, several belief systems within part of the societies, both the societies. Belief system regarding rebirth, belief system regarding gods and spirits in the villages of Thailand. I was observing several, ideas which have comparisons with the Vedic religion and Buddhist philosophy, of course. And then about dharma, karma, we know that they have their own significance. So I will refer to some of the Nikaya literature, Sutra literature, and then I will refer back to Indian philosophy and leave you there in another 15 to 20 minutes. What you have is, there are, as I said, there is a concept of cosmic time and cosmos in space and time interest for the Vedic religion. And there is a cyclic view of creation is often cited. And cyclic view of creation in Buddhist teachings from the Sutra literature, I'll show you. And several worlds exist out there. And another idea common to both Indian philosophy and to Buddhists. What I start with is, in Vedic cosmology, we have a concept of Rita, Ritagum Satyam Param Brahma. Rita stands for, a cosmic order. It's a cosmic moral order that is existing out there. It anticipates the law of karma. And law of karma and rebirth have an important place in both the schools. Thai Theravada Buddhism has an important place for the rebirth theory. And we know the Jataka stories of Buddha himself. All gods and men must obey the law. Disorder and injustice are partial. The law works out itself. Rita, as I said, from the Vedic cosmology, this is one concept, Ritagum Satyam Param Brahma. It is Brahman itself in Vedic cosmology. And it translates as Dharma, when it becomes a duty toward fellow human beings, kindness, charity, hospitality are all derived. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha, all Brahma Viharas are derived from the whole concept of this moral cosmic order called as Rita. And when I'll now come back to, in Mahayana, we have Vimalakirti Nirdesha Sutra, Vimalakirti Nirdesha Sutra, chapter 12, section 10 and 11, which speaks about worshipping Dhamma. Worshipping what Tathagata has said, it means worshipping the profound sutras. These sutras stand in opposition to everything mundane. They reveal the unstoppable wheel of Dhamma. This has resonance with the concept of Rita from Vedic cosmology. They teach, what these sutras teach is, they teach that there is no essential self, anatta, living being, life force, or a person. Everything which arises is impermanent and painful. Understanding of Pratitya Samutpada, Vimalakirti, Vedic cosmological theory of Rita. Ontological significance of Dharma Chakra. India, as you know, Indian national flag and the Thai royal family use Dharma Chakra. Vedic religion from Rigveda times believed in a cosmic order. There is an inbuilt order in the universe. It is not all chaos, as we are told these days. This goes by the name Rita. There is an order which is out there. It gets expressed in society and also finds a place. That's what the Dharma Chakra is, the whole understanding, the philosophy behind is. And for Vedic people, the order itself is Brahman. Vedas do not posit a Brahman over and all above the moral law. There is nothing above the Dhamma. There is nothing above the law of Rita. Even in the Vedas, Vedas don't have gods and goddesses who are above Rita. Coming back to Theravada Dhamma, as you all know, Dhammam Sharanam Gacchami, Dhamma in Sangha, in singular, Dhamma in singular stands for Buddha's teachings. Buddha's teachings are Dhamma. That sets Dharma Chakra in motion. By Dhamma, we understand Buddha's teachings. And that is the path to nirvana from suffering. Dhamma also can mean virtue, justice, right. Direct visibility of Dhamma is when attachment is abandoned. This is from Nibbana Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya, chapter 1, 156, 157, from Anguttara Nikaya. What I'm trying to say is the kind of sharing of ideas between Vedic cosmology and Thai Theravada Buddhism and Buddha's teachings. Buddha, as many think, was not contradicting or criticizing Vedic philosophy. He was indifferent to Vedic philosophy is the final conclusion from Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. Buddha was indifferent to Vedic philosophy. He was not trying to contradict or counter Vedic philosophy. That's not my understanding. Buddha explains Dhamma as twofold. The process of dependent arising, Pratitya Samutpada, Nirvana as stopping all such conditions. From Majjhima Nikaya, chapter 1, 167. This Dhamma is hard to see and hard to understand, peaceful, unattainable by mere reasoning. Reasoning does not make you reach Dhamma. I want to quote you from Shankara Bhashya on Brahma Sutras. Tarka is not of use without the using of the scriptures. A mere reasoning is not going to take you towards peaceful living or towards nirvana. So Brahma Sutras, Shankara Bhashya, says the text is to be understood with the help of tarka. It's not that all logic is of no use or all yukti is of no use, but the text, the sutras have to be understood with the help of dharma, is the understanding of Shankara. Is the same understanding here in Majjhima Nikaya. This Dhamma is hard to understand, peaceful, unattainable. I want to show the ontological existence of Dhamma. You know, we see both in Theravada and Vedic religion, you know, and even in Vajrayana also, you know, Shantarakshita, the Indian monk who traveled to Tibet, and Milarepa, Tibet's mystic yogi, you know, both in Vajrayana also you have. There is a wonderful book published by Mahachula University, you know, the essential teachings are all in one form. Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana are brought into one textbook. And now I want to move over to another idea of karma and rebirth. I'm rushing through my pages. Actually, there is a long, so many references to sutra literature and Vedic religion, but I'm rushing through all of them. Thailand has a history of speaking of guardian spirit. Thailand, when I visited some of the villages, there was a talk about the guardian spirits of the villages. Several Thai villages have stories about spirits, deities. You know, anthropologists argue that they may be incorporated into conceptual framework of teachings. Rama I, you know, the king Rama I established Thai rule in Ayutthaya 1767. First decree, first talks of spirits and deities. The one inscription by Rama I in Ayutthaya, I visited Ayutthaya several times. The king reminds that pain and pleasure are a result of karma and not spirits and gods. Buddha says karma is volition or intention. Monks, that I call karma, intention. Having willed, one person acts. This is from Dhammapada. Vedic conception of karma is more complex. Vedic conception of karma is divided into Sanchita karma, Prarabdha, Agami, Adyatana. I can't explain all these, what exactly they mean in this very short talk. Hope some other time when I'm visiting your Mahachula, I'll give an elaborate discussion on the karma theory of both Vedic religion and Theravada Thai Buddhism. Rebirth of a jiva is just a few more minutes. I'm ending. I have concluding remarks. Rebirth of a jiva is distinct from transmigration in Vedic religion. Anguttara Nikaya, chapter 1, 192. Kalama Sutta and Majjhima Nikaya, chapter 1, 402. I have done all this research of the sutras to know what exactly Thai Buddhism is speaking. Theravada Buddhists are speaking on rebirth and karma theory, etc., etc. And all of them have shared beliefs. Now, what I want to say is the three world theory is another interesting phenomena between the Vedic cosmology and the Thai Buddhists. You have Triloka or Traidhatuka understanding. Traidhatuka or Triloka. Kamaloka, Rupaloka, and Arupaloka. You know, Kamaloka is about the gross base. It's the same three-world theory of the Vedic cosmology, you know, have several parallels. See, I don't see that Indian philosophy always influenced the Thai Buddhism. It is vice versa. And Suvarna Bhumi has contributed tremendously to Buddhist thinking, to Theravada Buddhism, and in some places to Mahayana Buddhism. It's a wonderful land of cultured people. And Buddhism is kept alive by the Suvarna Bhumi. You know, Indians have lost touch with that wonderful religion. You know, you don't have common people practicing, Buddhist practitioners in India. In some pockets, they are available still. But the whole country, you know, Suvarna Bhumi inspires us whenever we visit the place and looking at thousands and thousands of monks practicing diligently. The three-world theory, again, has a common belief system. As I said, in Hindu cosmology, you have Bhur, Bhuvar, Suvarloka. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, and Suvarloka. Or in common understanding, there is a Triguna concept of Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. Or they have an understanding of Patalaloka, Bhuloka, and Swargaloka. All that gets translated in Buddhist Theravada into Triloka or Traidhatuka. we have a gross base desires in kama loka or kama dhatu, base body with gnanendriyas and karmendriyas, basal desires of, where the animals and the plant world is also included. And we have a dhyana world in rupa loka. We come across the meditation, as part of it. Even vipassana. And in arupa loka, formless stages, what you have is the meditation and attainment of Brahma Viharas, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, and Upeksha, the formless meditative practices. They have great parallels with Vedic cosmological understanding. So what I was trying to say, it's not genuine philosophical argument, because it's very difficult to argue for transmigration of a soul philosophically. But the society and the people, these cultures have these beliefs interwoven into their life world. And as I said, there is a story of Vamana or Vishnu Avatara in Hindu Puranas, where he takes 3 steps and covers the 3 worlds, Patala, Bhuloka, and also that of the, Swargaloka. So another idea, as I said, the ideas on rebirth. Am I audible? I believe I'm okay.
Yeah, you are okay.
Okay, fine, please. 1-2 minutes and I'm ending, Doctor. I'm just winding up. I see parallel thinkings in terms of, village beliefs in terms of spirits and gods. It's the same belief system in Indian villages. You have a whole concept of Kula Devata in Indian villages wherever you go, or Grama Devata, where they protect the villages and they protect the particular Kula as a clan. I saw the same belief systems when I was traveling through the villages, I traveled south of Thailand to Hatyai. I stayed there and I was so surprised to see, the local deities, local spirits in the villages. That surprised me. Such a common belief systems that we have, each enriching the other. I don't say it is always a one-way process. It is each country influencing the other's thinking, each inspiring the other to take the forward. One end last few comments and I'll stop there. Nasadiya Sukta. There is one Nasadiya Sukta from Rigveda. I'm reading the Max Muller translation. There was neither Sat, na Satasid, na Asadasid. No, that was how it starts. There was neither Sat nor Asat. There was no sky nor the heaven. There was no death. Hence was there nothing immortal. That one breathed by itself without breath. Other than it, there has been nothing. He from whom this creation arose, whether he made it or did not make it. That is from a Nasadiya Sukta of Vedic cosmology. And let's see Theravada, and I will end it there. How Theravada looks at this. In Sutra and Vinaya traditions, Buddha teaches of kalpas. There are multiple universes. There is not one universe out there. There are multiple universes, kalpas in Buddha's teachings, multiple worlds and beings. No one sutra captures the universe. Sarvastivada Mahayana tradition and today's Theravada agree on several points. See, Mahayana traditions and Theravadins have several agreements rather than disagreements. And Sarvastivada Mahayana. So, as I already told, Arupa Dhatu, Rupa Dhatu, and Kama Dhatu, the belief in Mahapralaya, another belief. The belief in Mahapralaya is common to both Vedic cosmology and Theravadins. There is a Mahapralaya, ending of the entire universe. Clusters of worlds, thousands of moons, thousands of suns. This you have a reference in Abhibhu Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya. This is chapter 1, 277, 227, 228. I have read this book published by the Insights from Buddha, book published by Mahachula. I read page and page and looked at all the sutras where there are common belief systems, a common belief in Mahapralaya, belief system in cluster of worlds, 1,000 moons, 1,000. This is not regular academic philosophy, but this is how a society is built in the world of its imagination about life, about the universe, about Mahapralayas, about the worlds, etc., etc. And there is a great commonality between these two great nations, and which learn from each other and which are enriching each other. And an Indian always, when travels to Thailand, is inspired by looking at the practicing Buddhist thinkers and philosophers. So my salutations to all these wonderful monks at Mahachula University, and thank you, Professor, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you very much, sir. So I learned a lot from you today. So I can conclude at least 2 points. India influence on us, and also we also influence on you, something like that. This is interchangeably, like you have, and then we have. One we have, we also give you, and then you give us like in exchange. I saw this example. There is one temple, Hindu temple in Pune city. Earlier, this temple not well developed, but later on, when they come to Thailand and they learn something from Thai, and they back to Pune. And then develop their temples better than, and then many people keep coming more than in the past time. So maybe because something that originally not developed up to what we expected, later on when we move and see from outside, then we bring inside, then everything become perfect. And one more very, very important concept that you mentioned, the concept of Lita. Mostly in Thailand, when we teach Gamma, we never refer to Lita, the concept of cosmic order. So this is very meaningful if we can investigate deeply into the real original concept of this one. Then it will help us to teach how we can explain Gamma related to the cosmic order. Earlier, normally when we study this concept of Gamma, we study the concept purely. Therefore, to make this concept meaningful and perfectly up to academic expectation, then we need more knowledge from the original, the concept of Rita from Vedic period. That is, I think, is very, very nice. Thank you very much, sir. So if you can be here, or if you can. You have meeting, you can leave anytime you like. But if you are here, if we have a question and answer, we will ask you. So,
yeah, please.
Yes. So next we will move from northeast of India. I think he's here already. We will move to the south of India. I would like to call upon Professor Dr. Kopalakisnan. If you are here, sir, please take the stage. The floor is yours to share your idea about Indian philosophy and its influence on Suvarnabhumi and future. So if you are here, Ajahn, your professor is here or not? He's here or not, sir? Sir, are you here or? Okay. Now the stage is yours, sir. Please. Oh, I think he might have some, technical problems. So please, somebody there help him. If he is not ready for the conversation, I will move to another one lower than South India is Sri Lanka. So please, I will introduce Dr. Sanat Vijay Sundara from Faculty of Art, Department of Classical Languages. So you, this stage is yours. Please take this opportunity to share your idea with us.
Okay, Bante. Can you view my screen, please? Can you view my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Thank you very much. Well, respected venerable sirs, dear colleagues and friends, thank you very much for inviting me to share my views at your 8th International Seminar on Indian Philosophy and its influences on Swarnabhumi, past, present, and future. I have chosen the topic Buddhist philosophy in the context of Indian philosophy. Can you hear me, please? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. My topic is Buddhist philosophy in the context of Indian philosophy. Why should Buddhist monks study Indian philosophy? And your sub-theme of the seminar, society and politics, including Indian philosophy. Okay. So Buddhist monks, what I mean here is monks in Thailand or in Myanmar or in Sri Lanka, because we three countries share the same tradition, that is Hinayana or Theravada tradition. Okay. The objectives of this presentation include the understanding of give and take policy across the systems of Indian philosophy, leading to religious and philosophical harmony. Understanding of the similarities and dissimilarities across systems of Indian philosophy, and also to estimate the position of Buddhist philosophy in Indian philosophy. In that way, to explore as to why Buddhist monks should study Indian philosophy. Okay. Since Buddhist philosophy is one of the systems of Indian philosophy, studying Buddhist philosophy by monks or laymen as such means the study of Indian philosophy. Okay. However, the question I am raising here is it implies the fact that whether the Buddhist monks should confine to study Buddhist philosophy or should they study other Indian philosophical systems other than Buddhist philosophy? The answer is obvious, yes. And that may be one of the activities you are doing at Mahakula, of course. I'm not saying that in Thailand this is not happening now. Then one may tend to ask why. Is it because studying Buddhist philosophy alone is not adequate, is not sufficient for all practical purposes of a Buddhist monk? This is a tricky question, worthwhile answering. Let me draw your attention to the very basics of Indian philosophy, which you are, I'm sure, well aware of, well acquainted with. Firstly, we come across the division of orthodox and heterodox philosophies, the form of which includes the conventional 6 systems, Saddarshan. They hold the authority of Vedas, and the latter, which includes the Charvaka, Jainism, Buddhism, they do not hold the authority of Vedas. The former is sometimes also called Brahmanic philosophies, and the latter Shramanic philosophies. Both these Brahmanic and Shramanic philosophies commonly uphold Chaturarya Satya, whereas Charvaka alone does not do so. All in all, we also notice that ethics, epistemology, metaphysics, and logic are the main branches of Indian philosophy, which we adopt in the process of studying them. The topics in each of those branches may be summarized as follows. Okay, ethics. What do we mean by ethics, and what do we study in this particular topic in Indian philosophy? We study casteism or caste system, or concept of rita, as the former scholar was elaborating, or rituals, or abhicharas, devotion or bhakti, rights of females and animals. You see, since basically the Indian society was patriotic, you see, I was not emphasizing the rights of males because of many reasons, and ecology, and karma, heaven, hell, and Gahata and Pabbajita Sila, and Anubandha Chatustaya, what do you mean? Adhikari, Vishaya Sambandha Prayojan, and Chatur Varanashrama Dharma.
படமே வர மாட்டேங்குது. அவர் பேசுறதுல நானும் இல்ல.
Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, and Chatur Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, etc., etc. So all these subtopics we study under ethics in Indian philosophy. When it comes to epistemology in Indian philosophy, we study Pramana. Pramana means the means of knowledge. Prameya is the knowledge, and Padarthas. For example, according to
போட்டாலும் microphone is unmuted, video is stopped.
For example, in Vaisheshika it is Sapta Padarthas, or 7 categories as Dravya Guna Karma Samanya Vishesha Samohaya Bhava. And when it comes to metaphysics in Indian philosophy, we study about Atma, Moksha, God, Kamma, Rebirth, Avidya, Paticca Samuppada, Karana Karyavada, Satya Satvada, etc., etc. Okay? So this is the background. We are now gradually entering into the very discussion of our main focus. If I put it in other words, why should Buddhists or Buddhist monks in particular should study orthodox systems of Indian philosophy? Despite its heterodox origin, it is interesting to note that the heterodox Buddhism derives its idealism, monism, absolutism, the theory of momentariness of all worldly things, the theory of karma, the distinction between the empirical and the absolute standpoint, and the theory that ignorance is the root cause of the cycle of birth and death, and that nirvana can be attained by right knowledge alone. From where? From Upanishads. Okay, so according to Bruhad Upanishad, the reality, they call it Bhuta, is infinite, limitless mass of consciousness. Likewise, in beginning also, it describes the consciousness. They call it Vijnana as invisible, infinite, and shining everywhere. When it comes to liberated person, Buddhist liberated saints, arahats, are described as Dakshinasins in the Suttanta, and the liberated saint in the Mundaka Upanishad have it described as free from defilements, Shina dosha, and as free from passions. Okay. When I go further chronologically, okay, I have to come to the Sanskrit epics, that is Mahabharata and Ramayana. In Bhagavad Gita, in particular, we were introduced to 3 significant characteristics of either any religion or philosophy as such. Okay, knowledge, jnana, action, karma, and devotion, bhakti. Bhakti means disinterested service to God. Intellect has given rise to the philosophy of knowledge, will to the philosophy of action, and emotion to the philosophy of devotion. All these three ultimately stand synthesized, coming together. This synthesis is called yoga or the union. Do we notice these features in Buddhism? Yes, we do. Performance of actions in a detached spirit, nishkama, is called in the Gita nishkama karma. Since the desire binds a man. So the good example is Bhante Ananda wanted to attain Nibbana just before the first council, but he tried, and he couldn't attain. So he gave it up, and suddenly he attained it. So if you desire something, you are bound to bind with that. If we long for Nibbana also, it is so. Are we going to attain it if we long for Nibbana? No. So jnana is the most important thing, being the very essence of reality. In Buddhist Eightfold Path, what comes after samadhi, the concentration, is panya. Sila, samadhi, panya is knowledge. Bhakti in Buddhism is sadhana, faith. So I am referring to these three factors, jnana, karma, and bhakti, as visible in Buddhism. So saddha means faith with a rational background in Buddhism. Anyway, karma and bhakti, understood in their proper senses, are only manifestations of jnana. So ultimately everything is linked to jnana. So without jnana, liberation is impossible, and so is detachment or renunciation in action, and so is disinterested devotion to God, or to triple gems in the context of Buddhism. A person of stilled vision, or what do you call this, fixed understanding, in Bhagavad Gita it is called Sthita Prajna, reminds us a Buddhist monk of calm thought, samahita chitta. So Gita's Brahma Nirvana reminds us Buddhist Nirvana. In Gita, the 14th chapter, 20 verse, shloka, it is said that Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Dukkha, and also Vimukti and Amrita. Okay, these are characteristically Buddhist. Okay, so we have Gita 6, chapter 6 verse number 6. Bandhuratmat manastasya yenat maivatmana jitah anatmanastu shastrutve varte tat maiva satruvat. A similar verse is found in Dhammapada, verse number 160. Attahi atta no nato pohi nato parosya attanava sudantena natang labati dullabam. So the meaning is, one truly is the protector of oneself. Who else could the protector be? With oneself fully controlled, one gains a mastery that is hard to gain. So all these examples from Bhagavad Gita. And in the Mahabharata, we have this universal kind of teaching that ahimsa paramo dharma. Moreover, in Mahabharata, we have this pilgrimage concept called Tirtha Yatra. And this is also referred to, this Tirtha Yatra, also referred to in Puranas as well. And these things, of course, started in Mahaparinibbana, where visit to the places sanctified by the Buddha is recommended. So in Mahabharata, there is this sloka, in Udyoga Parva, sloka number 39, chapter 673 is the sloka number. Akrodena jayet krodam, asadun saduna jayet. Jayet kadaryang danena, jayet satyena chanutam. The same thing is expressed in Dhammapada verse number 223. Akkodena jine kodang asadung saduna jine. Jine kadariyam danena satche nalika vadinam. Conquer the angry one by not getting angry. Conquer the wicked by goodness. Conquer the stingy by generosity. And the liar by speaking the truth. So all these examples related to jnana, karma and bhakti, which are the salient features of every religion and philosophy as practiced in the past as well as in the present. So when we come to Charvaka philosophy, which manifests the materialistic views, so very different from all other philosophies of Indian philosophies, and it may be surprised to note that this is the religion or philosophy most of the present world adheres with. I mean, the majority religion of philosophy at present in the world, materialistic. The materialistic way of life, the way of enjoying the pleasures of the senses and flesh, is as old as humanity itself and will surely last as long as humanity lasts. Yet materialism as metaphysics has never found favor with the Indian philosophers. They insulted it, they looked down upon it. What I mean is, it is looked down upon only in the intellectual philosophical sphere. Okay, so Jainism and Buddhism, for example, arose immediately after Charvaka and supplied the ethical and spiritual background, which was ejected by the materialism. So when it comes to Jainism, one of the Shramanic philosophies, unlike the previous one, Charvaka, it has rejected all qualitative differences in soul as well as in atoms. All the material elements are reduced to one category of what you call Pudgala, and all of them, and even their atoms, are all declared to be qualitative alike. In Jainism, no attempt is made to synthesize Jiva and Pudgala, spirit and matter, subject and object, into a kind of a higher unity as done in Sankhya. So Sankhya, we see that they distinguished between Prakriti and Purusha. So unity of spirit and matter. Okay, so spirit is regarded as possessing Chaitanya, Shuddha Chaitanya. So matter is regarded as unconscious, like Prakriti in Sankhya. So essence are responsible because of ignorance. Now, the question is, how can the soul, which is pure consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanya, and power be really touched or tinged with ignorance, passions, and karma? So, if ignorance and karma are from the soul, liberation becomes impossible. And on the other hand, if ignorance and karma are external to the soul, then again the bondage becomes impossible. So kind of a blunder. The Jainas have no real answer to this question. This sort of critical examination in terms of philosophical dialectics is very much beneficial for every one of us to have a healthy kind of a comparative idea which help us penetrate the reality. Okay, I'm referring to why monks should study Indian philosophy again. So when I come to Sankhya, Sankhya is considered to be one of the oldest systems of Indian philosophy. It is said that even Gautama Buddha, before his attainment, went to some Bhargava, Alara, Kala, Buddha, Ramputta, and they are considered to be Sankhya teachers. So Sankhya, Moreover, it paved the way for subsequent philosophical systems, how in terms of structure, matter, and content. As a result, later philosophies tried to learn from mistakes committed by Sankhya and tried to avoid philosophical blunders as much as possible. The fundamental blunder of Sankhya made is to treat Prakriti and Purusha as absolute, separate, and independent realities. You remember the Andapambu theory. The Prakriti and Purusha of Sankhya thus become mere abstractions, torn away from the context of concrete experience. Okay? So, if Prakriti and Purusha are absolute and independent, they can never come into contact, Sanyoga, and or semblance of Samyoga or whatever. Shankara attacked this. If you read the Sankaracharya, Brahma Sutra, Sankara Bhasi, you will find these arguments against Sankhya. Therefore, there can be no evolution at all because these two can't come together. Every jiva is the potential Purusha, Sankhya says, and liberation consists in the actualization of this potential. This is the philosophy to which the Sankhya logic points and which is throughout implicit in Sankhya, but unfortunately explicitly rejected by Sankhya with the inevitable and unfortunate result that Sankhya has reduced itself to a kind of a bundle of contradictions. So all these results come only when you know Sanskrit, and if you know, if you can read the originals and get the meanings of them. Okay, the yoga, the other philosophy parallel to Sankhya. The famous book is Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. It consists of 4 chapters. Namely, Samadhipada, Sadhanapada, Vibhutipada, and Kaivalyapada. Samadhipada, it is discussed the samadhis or whatever you get kind of tranquilities and etc. by concentrating your mind. And that way it goes. The titles of chapters themselves imply the teachings of yoga. Look at the Eightfold Path discipline in yoga, the Ashtanga yoga. The last is again a samadhi, means concentration. So, this Chattari Brahma Vihara, loving kindness, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka, these are found in Yoga Sutra. Let me come to Vaisheshika. I'm finishing soon. The Vaisheshika gives us a mere catalogue of categories. As I said, Padartha, 7, or in Nyaya it is 16, without making any attempt to synthesize them with philosophy. So atomistic pluralism is no final philosophy, but it is an important stage in the development of Indian philosophy. That's true. It emphasizes the scientific thinking, that's good, and is an advance on the materialistic point of view. Nyaya, the argumentation, okay? This system is predominantly intellectual. So Nyaya and Vaisheshika go together, and these two agree in viewing the earthly life as full of suffering, as Buddhism does, and as bondage of the soul, and in regarding liberation, which is absolute cessation of suffering, as the supreme end of life. Both agree, and Vaisheshika, that bondage is due to ignorance of reality, and that liberation is due to the right knowledge of reality. So Vaisheshika takes up the exposition of reality, whereas Nyaya takes up the exposition of right knowledge or prama, right knowledge of reality. So Nyaya is the ontology of atomism, pluralism, realism, theism, or even spiritualism. These are coming together, crowd together in one mass. Okay, one bundle is sort of defective. The logic of pluralistic realism is a common sense view of the world. If liberation means negation of all qualities, including Chaitanya and Ananda, the bliss, the soul liberated is the soul petrified, and Gautama, the founder of this system, it is said by Sri Harsha that his name is very, very apt to him because Gautama, the meaning is excellent bull. So, Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa, I think I'll have to omit because for the sake of the time. So, one point I would like to emphasize at the end, that is that one of the modern scholars, as we all know, Swami Vivekananda, he acknowledged this inclusive policy of Brahmanism, Hinduism with other thoughts in India. So, including Buddhism. The medieval, medieval history, reactions and reforms of Brahmanism are visible in the writings of Kumarila in 7th century, Shankara 9th century, and Ramanuja 11th century. They had a two-fold aim, okay? Two objectives. One is criticism and condemnation of certain doctrines of Buddhism, and on the other hand, the assimilation of certain doctrines of Buddhism into their teachings. This movement had a twofold vipakas, or what you call the consequences. The decline of Buddhism on one hand, so Buddhism declined in India. And the other is expansion of Puranic Brahmanism, which is heterodox. Remember this, which is heterodox. Why? Because of the influence of Buddhism. Impact of Buddhist stress on ascetic life and renunciation, Vairagya and Sannyasa on the religion of India are huge and vast, and that is thanks to Buddhism. So Hinduism in the beginning didn't have that strong element of ascetic life and renunciation as such, but later, after the medieval history, it changed everything. So Vivekananda says, Hinduism has become so, I'm quoting his words, Hinduism has become so great only by absorbing the ideas of Buddha. We have to admit that in the midst of the profound darkness of the ancient times, Buddha only shines forth as a figure radiant with the light of knowledge. This is taken from Vivekananda's Complete Works, volume 6, page number 164. Let me refer to the Buddhist origins of some of the tenets of Hinduism. Vegetarianism, for example, which is the salient feature of Vaishnavism, started in medieval India, is found in Lankavatara Sutta. And most of the Vedantic origins, Vedantic doctrines originated in Buddhism. For example, Ajativada, okay, as seen in Gautapada's Gaudapada Karika, and this Mayavada, what you call this proud or the illusion, no illusion or the kind of mere appearance concept, also found in Buddhism. And this Sammuti and Paramattha concept, in Sanskrit it is Paramartha and Vyavahara, also from Buddhism. Actually, this reality, the very concept of reality called Tattva, is also from there. Also the Nirguna, or without attributes, also from Buddhism. So, all in all, what I can say is Buddhism did not pass away from India. It did not die in India. It is living even now. But it is living reformed, living in reformed way, in reformed Brahmanism or Hinduism, whatever you like to call it. So the discussion so far has been on the general features of Indian philosophy, what for? To ascertain why Buddhist monks should study Indian philosophy, in order to discern the Buddha, in order to know who Buddha actually is. a monk or any Buddhist, a Buddhist monk or any Buddhist should know where these teachings where these teachings came from, and what are the beginnings of these teachings, and what made Buddha to teach like this, like that. What made Buddha to reject something, and what made Buddha to admit something. So in Sri Lanka, what happened in brief, I'll say, from the early history in Sri Lanka, Buddhist monks, even now, studied Sanskrit along with Pali and Tipitaka Dhamma in their monastic educational institutes. And at present, we do have this Oriental society where the Prarambha, Madhyama, and Avasana, what you call this preliminary, intermediate, and the Pandita or the final exams were conducted island-wide for monks or anyone interested in Pali, Sanskrit, and Tipitaka Dhamma main subjects, apart from other subjects like history, English, etc., etc. So, why, if somebody asks why do monks study Sanskrit in Sri Lanka, I think without studying Sanskrit, monks actually can't discern, can't know, can't recognize what real Buddha is. So with this, I conclude. Thank you very much for your patient attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So we learned a lot from you. Quite difficult question that you put before you start. The question is, why should Buddhist monks study Indian philosophy?
Yes.
I also doubt myself. Why did I study Indian philosophy? Now a little bit, clarifying my doubt. So very good to hear from you today.
Yeah, when the time comes for question and answer, I would be able to elaborate if I was not clear that much during my explanation. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Okay. I still remember when former head of department Buddhist faculty, Ajahn Chakuntiap, he referred to the word of Radhakrishnan when he said that Buddha is the reformer, not the founder. So I can understand. So we have to ask, reform what?
Yeah.
So if we study Indian philosophy, then we can understand what Lord Buddha he reformed.
Actually, if I give you a brief opinion of mine, he is the founder as well in some respects. For example, Sila, Samadhi, Panya. So Panya was not known to Indian context.
Okay, right. That's I quoted. What Ajahn Chakuntiap, former head of Department Buddhist faculty, he said he quote Radhakrishnan word. Anyway, we learn a lot from you today, and we understand that to know Buddhism in a better place, better to back to where this kind of idea started, and then we can have a complete idea of what we are learning. This is very important. Now move up. Just now back down. Now it's move up. So I pass this step to our professor Kopalakisnan. He going to share his idea with the main topic that I already passed to him today. Please, sir, the stage is yours. Now he is ready. So,
respectful monks and other delegates who are participating in this seminar, I owe my gratitude to all of you. And my field of specialization is Indian philosophy, particularly South Indian philosophy. I have taught Buddhism and other subjects to many of our Thai monks here who have come all the way from Thailand to study philosophy, Indian philosophy in Madras University. Unfortunately, in Madras University, we don't have a separate study for Buddhism. It is only included as part of the curriculum in Indian philosophy. So Indian philosophy is generally known as darshana. It is concerned with realization of the truth, not only mere knowing the truth, though it has logical and intellectual understanding of reality. It has a metaphysical standpoint to know the ultimate reality, and it has practical resources for knowing everything through knowing the self, that is religious. Then finally it comes to morality, because religion is morality tinged with emotion, Matthew Arnold says. Therefore, without morality, religion is empty. Without religion, morality is blind. Therefore, both go together. This is how Indian philosophy is made up. Though Buddhism comes under the tradition of heterodox systems, along with Charvaka and Jainism. Along with the Charvaka and Jainism, Buddhism comes under the heterodox system because it denies the authority of the Vedas. The Vedic trends are orthodox, not in the sense of accepting God's existence, but it has a tremendous impact on the Vedic tradition, that is orthodox system. Heterodox system deals with their own intellectual understanding and development of reality. They have philosophy. Jainism, for example, the 7 categories, and Buddhism also has its philosophy. The 4 noble truths, eightfold path, etc., are highly philosophical to understand. And the 2 major divisions of Buddhism, all these things are well knitted in Indian philosophy. So Indian philosophy is known for understanding the truth or realization of the truth only when you realize the truth means realization of the self. Once the self is realized, the reality, that is all pervading reality known as Brahman or limited to some extent as God, is understood. When Indian philosophy, along with the ideologies of Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, Vedanta. Vedanta consists of Advaita, Visishtadvaita, and Dvaita. But unfortunately, Saiva Siddhanta is not included here. But from my observation in various Southeast countries, for example, Malaysia and Singapore, and in Thailand also to some extent, Saiva Siddhanta is well practiced. In Thailand also, there is the Shivalinga and some portraits of gods, Hindu gods, Saiva gods, Vishnu gods, in all the places. In Vedantic system, there is Visishta Advaita. That is, the religious part of it is Vaishnavism. So Mahavishnu's postures and the 12 incarnations, 10 incarnations, Dasavatara, are seen in sculptures in Thailand. I have seen notified in several places the prevalence of Vishnu cult in many monasteries, and also Shivalingas and the emblems of Shiva in many of the temples. In Sri Lanka also, a lot of Indians, Tamilians went there to work there. So they are also have constructed temples and worship Saiva Siddhanta, Shiva. Saivism is prevailing there. So in almost all the Eastern countries are very much influenced by Indian philosophy. Particularly in Swarna Bhumi, that its word itself is Sanskrit. Swarna means gold. Bhumi means earth. The earth with gold. That means no physical gold is there, but only wealth of gold. Gold and wealth is available. How people are practicing Buddhism there. Buddhism in India is only studied, not practiced. The problem is learning Pali language. In our department, we have one Center for Buddhist Studies sponsored by Government of India. I was the director for 3 years. We could organize only seminars and meetings and special lectures. We could not teach them Buddhism in toto because we don't have Pali scholars available in India. That's the problem. But anyhow, we have understood the impact of Buddhist studies in our life. Personally speaking, though I am a Saivite, I practice Buddhism in toto. That is compassion to all. And then be true to myself, work into your deliverance diligently. This is what Buddha said. Be a true person into yourself. Work out your salvation in diligently. Your salvation has been interpreted in 2 ways. Mahayana, Hinayana came. But still, the people in the Eastern countries, Southeast Asian countries are practicing Buddhism. And though certain practical difficulties are there, it is Buddhist meditation. In the absence of a self, Nairatmya, how can a person meditate himself? That means meditation means an object must be there, either God or a temple or the soul itself. But in the denial of a soul, God or temple, how can meditate in vacuum? It's a possible. The Buddhists in the forest countries have developed this attitude by meditating or developing Buddha's meditation. That is meditation in the absence of a self. That is the real practical value of Buddhism. And another thing is to avoid the criticism that Buddhism is denying the existence of God. Buddha himself has been made as a God. As the Vaishnavite here interpret Buddha as an incarnation of Mahavishnu at one stage to preach the ideals of atheism. Okay, but anyhow, Buddha is a thoroughgoing humanist. He is very much interested in the human problems, human difficulties. 3 kinds of pains we have: Adi Bhaudigam, Adi Atmigam, Adi Devigam. That is physical and mental difficulties caused by human beings, physical and mental difficulties caused by the physical world or earth, and the physical and mental difficulties caused by the supreme power, unseen agencies. So from these pains, we have to get relief. If you want to get relief from these difficulties and overcome all these pains, certain formalities we have to build up. That means going within. That's called internalization. That is why it is called in Indian philosophy as internalization or mystical understanding of one's own self. Realize, see, my name is known to everyone, Gopalakrishnan, but who am I? That problem still persists. Who am I? Where from I have come? Where will I go back? What I'm doing here? What is the goal of life I have in this world? All these problems are to a certain extent or to a major extent analyzed in Indian philosophy, particularly Sankhya and Yoga. One professor was discussing about Sankhya system. That is a system in the absence of God. How can we interpret the world? How can we understand the existence of the universe? Through 2 things. One is matter and mind, Purusha and Prakriti. The inert principle and the conscious principle. The conscious self and unconscious matter. How these 2 can combine. The combination of these 2 cause bondage. The separation of these 2 cause liberation. That is the Sankhya ideology. One may wonder, how can there be a combination of these 2? Both are just opposite. That is, how can the conscious principle, Jiva or Purusha, can associate itself with Prakriti or nature or the unconscious matter? Like the dumb man entering into the shoulders of a blind man, both of them can walk and reach the destination. Like that, the semblance, the mere contact will do for communication. How to separate them? How to get rid of this kind of bondage? Yoga comes to our rescue through the eightfold path. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. All these 8 steps are essentially necessary because there is frequent mental modifications. The mind is frequently shifting from place to place, from person to person or region to region, whatever it may be. The mind is to be made to be constant or to be arrested, to focus on one particular thing, for which Yama and Niyama are the essential features. Essentially, Yama is some 5 principles which are to be avoided, like killing, eating meat, telling lies, then all these things. And then Niyama means something to be followed, 5 things to be followed. That is reading the scriptures properly, worshipping the Lord properly, all these things. So Yama, Niyama. Then Asana. Asana comes for physical fitness. One must be physically fit enough to practice all these things. The subsequent practical things. Asana. Sarasasana, Mayurasana, several asanas are there. Nearly 108 asanas are there the yogins do for making the body free from any defect whatsoever, like diseases, plum formation, etc. Then comes asana, pranayama, breath control. Through breath control, people get rid of all internal deficiencies or defects. Like, see, the breath is arrested. Now releasing these things. So if you do it continuously, the phlegm formation and other improper items stored in the inside the stomach will be released, will be go away. Pranayama. Then pratyahara. Pratyahara means focusing the attention on a particular thing. For example, touching, looking at the tip of the nose from the eyes. Then comes dharana. Dharana means getting away from unwanted things. Whatever is not suitable for us. For example, drinking alcohol is not suitable for health, not fit for our body conditions. Therefore, we should get away from them. Some food items which are not conducive to our body digestion and other climatic conditions, we should safely avoid them. Then comes dhyana, meditation, focusing the consciousness towards a particular object. Here comes the problem with Buddhism and Indo-Indian philosophy. That is, focusing our attention towards a particular object means the Indian people, particularly the Hindu people, bring in God or temple for meditation. They become one with that. Then the final stage is samadhi. Samadhi means where the person becomes one with it. That means he forgets himself totally. In meditation, the person who meditates, the object of meditation and the process of meditation are still lingering in the consciousness. But in samadhi state, a total forgetting of the self, living in a different world. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa experienced this samadhi state where people poured water on his mouth. He lost his consciousness. After 3 days only he woke up. This recorded in the literature. So we have to understand that yoga is the best way to arrest the mental modifications and live in a particular direction. That is the goal. The goal must be fulfilled. Therefore, the first stage is the moral stage, yama niyama. The second stage is the physical stage, namely pranayama and pratyahara. Yama niyama, asana and pranayama. Then third stage, pratyahara and dhyana. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, and Dharana. These two are psychological stages. The last stage, namely meditation, Dhyana and Samadhi, are the mystical stage. This is how the 4 stages are well built up in yoga, which is practical in Indian philosophy actually. That means the soul is separated from the entanglements, worldly entanglements, which are binding the self, which are binding the person, or which are giving a wrong picture about the personality of the person. Therefore, to overcome all these things and making the green way for liberation, this yoga system helps. So Buddhists developed this yoga system in a different way to suit their convenience, because their major policy is, or major ideology is, no God, no soul. Therefore, in the absence of these two, how to practice? So they built up their own system of meditating, and similarly compassionate for all the people. And several topics Buddha has taken, Dhammapada, all the 3 Pitakas works, great. They are interesting also to teach, but at the same time also interesting to practice, to develop our own personality. Then Indian philosophy, we have the logical system, we have the metaphysical system, we have the religious system, and we have the moral system. All these things are interwoven or interlinked with each other. The atheistic schools, namely Charvaka, Jainism, and Buddhism, they condemned the excessive ritualism in Vedic period. They also the domination of the priestly class, and also while doing rituals, only the affordable people, the rich people can buy the things and put it. So, and also the cruel part of it is they were sacrificing a goat as in the fire, sacrificial fire. That irked the people, and they developed separate systems like Charvaka, Lokayata, eat, drink, and be merry, even though your family run in debt. That's the Charvaka ideology. Eat, drink, and be merry. Enjoy your life. There is among the 5 elements, don't worry about it. Whatever we perceive, that is real. Other things don't perceive. Other things, inference, even inference is rejected. Only perception is accepted. So this is how they developed. Earth, water, fire, and air. Only with these things we can perceive. Ether we cannot perceive, or space we cannot perceive. Ignore it. Therefore, consciousness is the byproduct of so many things, the 4 elements. Like we have the red color by chewing the green leaf, chalk, chunam, we call it chunam. And then arcanite. All these 3 have different colors. When you chew it, you get a different color. Like that, the consciousness is developing. It's a purely materialistic way of life. Thoroughgoing materialism. That's one way of developing the physical world, materialistic world. Then came Jainism. Jainism, in the absence of God, the 24 Tirthankaras, how the Tirthankaras built up a philosophical system like Shyadvada, Nayavada, all these things. Syad asti, Syad nasti, Syad asti nasti, Syad avaktavyam, Syad asti avaktavyam, Syad asti nasti avaktavyam. Like these 7 stages of understanding the objects in the world in front of us. No absolutism, only relativism. In Jainism, only relativism, no absolutism. Contrast to this view, the Advaita philosophy of Shankara developed monistic idealism and absolutic non-reality of the world. Only Brahman is real. Whatever is real is Brahman. Other than this, everything is only an appearance. Even God, Ishvara, is an appearance through Maya. Like that, they developed one particular way of thinking. Therefore, in Advaita philosophy, as Dr. Radhakrishnan used to say, it's a very big lighthouse in which there is no light. The light was put by Ramanuja in his Vishtadvaita philosophy. He introduced the idea of Mahavishnu or Narayana is the Lord who is Brahman. There is nothing called absolute Brahman. He rejected Maya through Saptavida Anupapatti. 7-fold arguments, he rejected Maya and brought all religious ideologies found in Sri Vaishnavism in the form of Visishtadvaita philosophy. Then Madhva spread this, simplified the Vedic culture. See, in the Vedic culture, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Badarayana's Brahma Sutra, these are the three realities, the triple pillars, or the triple literature, three kinds of literature: the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Brahma Sutra. From these things, the other systems like Nyaya, Vaisheshika. Nyaya system is a thorough-going logical system. Through logical arguments, it establishes the nature of the self, it establishes the nature of God. It accepts 4 pramanas, or the means of knowledge. The ways of getting knowledge is only 4. Whereas in Mimamsa and Advaita Vedanta, from empirical point of view, Vyavaharika, 6 are there: Anupavati and Arthapati. Otherwise, they have only perception, Anumana, Shabda, and Upamana. Only these 4 Nyaya accepts. They give arguments. And then Mimamsaka, in a logical way, they also analyze these 4 systems, 4 pramanas, and then they add 2 more, Arthapati and Anupavati, with clinching arguments. They cannot be separated. So this is a separate linguistic study. The grammatical ideology of Indian philosophy is also there. We have grammar of Panini, which have been multiplied by the concept of Shabda, or sound, or words, how words are interwoven. See, there are 15 words means in a sentence, 15 meaning. All the 15 meanings, when combined together in a sentence, they give you a unique meaning. How it is possible? We frame the idea in our mind already and pour out the words, or we, after pouring out the ideas, words, then we get the idea in our mind. This is a clinching argument, problematic question. And then Mimamsa gives the example of musical instruments. Each instrument has its own unique noise or sound. But when they are combined together, one particular musical notation is coming out. Like that, when all the words are joined together, we get. And then there is arguments back and forth whether we think first or write next, or write first and then think about the meaning next. This is a problem still going on without any ending. This is how Indian philosophy is highly metaphysical and at the same time highly practical. So whatever is highly practical in the form of religion or in the form of metaphysics, the people who study Indian philosophy carry them to their respective places and develop it. This is how Buddhism has been developed in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Sumatra, Java, and Indonesia, even in China, Japan. Now the latest trend is Zen Buddhism. It's also being practiced. The ideology is simple: how to overcome pain, how to get rid of pain, how to attain liberation. This is the illustration. This is the best example for studying Indian philosophy. Thank you very much for your patient listening.
Oh, thank you very much, sir, for sharing your wisdom to one of us. So we learn a lot from you. So I dare not to conclude what you have said just now. You have explained many concepts of Indian philosophy, but one thing that you mentioned it that we are impressed by what you just said, that you still and personally you practice put compassion into action.
Yeah,
Great. That's great. That's great.
Part of our life. Compassion is part of our life.
Yes. That I
that's
can
what
feel
Indian
that.
philosophy teaches us.
Yes.
Indian philosophy teaches us in a manifold way. I explained all these things from logical, metaphysical, and religious, moral ways, standpoints,
Yes.
or perspectives. All these things cannot be put into practice, but a few things, whatever is practically useful for us to develop our own self, our own personality, Indian philosophy helps us. As an academician, I was a thoroughgoing professor of philosophy, Indian philosophy, and all our monks know that I'm practicing in my own way religious ideologies and how I am building up my own personality to others.
Yes, sir. So this remind me of what Aristotle said. Aristotle he need excellent in act. That probably what you are doing now. Excellent in act. That's great, sir.
Even
So-
Socrates said an unexamined life is not worth living. An unexamined life is not worth living. That's what Socrates said.
Yes,
We
sir.
must examine ourselves. That's self-inquiry. Self-inquiry. We must interrogate ourselves. Go into our being deeply. Whatever the situation that arises, whatever problematic position we are placed, we must analyze the issues deeply and like petals of the onion.
Yes.
Remove the onion petals. Like ultimately nothing.
Yes, that is the way how we prove our our argument. That's great. The argument about reality. Now, without further ado, so I will move to Southeast Asia. That another part connected with still many Indian philosophy is available, and people some part of that country always observe and practice. That is what we call Bali. Now I move nearby Bali to the monument, the great one, Borobudur. Now I would like to call upon Assistant Professor, the most venerable Putih Utomo from Samaratungka College in Indonesia.
Okay.
So please, your state is yours. You are given 15 or 20 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. My respectful for all my Achan in Mcuฬาลงกรณราชว University and all the professor and all Buddhist scholar and distinguished guests. Now I would like to present about my article is about influence of Indian philosophy to Javanese cultures. Even in this theme is Indian philosophy for the influence of Indian philosophy in Swarnabhumi. But I think that all of, even in Indonesia, the part of Swarnabhumi during Srivijayan Empire, Srivijayan period, and then also during the Buddhist and Hindu civilization in Southeast Asia. Except that here I would like to show what is the Javanese culture, which very influenced by Indian philosophy and then as an Indian civilization during from the first until 15th centuries until now. In our culture is still come our basic of our culture is come from Indian cultures too. Even for society, social, cultural, and then also in language and also alphabet of Javanese people, and also the local value is influenced by Indian philosophy. So it's my pleasure to presenting about this. So maybe all of you never know how to Javanese culture as a part of the Indian cultures too. Even now, as we know that Indonesia and majority of Javanese is become Muslim, but in the society they still use Indian such as Indian cultures too. And in the we have some cultures is called wayang. Wayang is come from Indian from Mahabharata and also in Ramayana. So first, I would like to introduce of what is in Jawa. Jawa is an island in Indonesia that is located in the archipelago and is the 13th large island in the world, lying lying southeast of Malaysia and Sumatra, south of Borneo, and the west of Bali. Such as Achan Poncai tell that the Bali Islands. Actually, the Bali Island is the ancient Javanese culture that's still have in Indonesia now. Even their call is on Hindu or Brahmanism as their culture. Java is a home to roughly half of Indonesian population and dominate the country politically and economically. So actually, in Java or Javanese people is they are dominant in the political and economic in Javanese come from during the Seleucian Empire and then also before of that, because if we have many of kingdom, even Hindu and also Buddhist kingdom, there's in Indonesia, it's called Singasari, also Majapahit, also have Medang, and then Kalinga of Javanese. Their rule is basic of Buddhism, and then some of their rule is they use Pancasila or the 5 precepts as the basic of their political system. Historically, and some historians tell us that about the 1st century, Indian traders become rival in Java, and the resulting Hindu-Indian influence developed and flowered in the kingdom of Mataram in the 8th century. The Mataram kingdom was centered in South Central Asia, Java, and was ruled by Shailendra dynasty. Although originally follower of Saivite Hinduism, and then Mataram dynasty later king accepted Mahayana Buddhism. From that era, in the late of 9th and early 9th centuries, that the great Buddhist monument constructed at Borobudur, Mendut, and many other sites in Java. It means if maybe sometime you can visiting my country, even in Java, we have many of temple and like prasat, temple and prasat, and then chedi, based on Indian culture and Indian philosophy, and also Indian belief that is from Saiva, for Saiva and Brahma, Hindu, and also in Buddhism. And then this is about Javanese people. The Javanese, it's the largest ethnic group in Indonesia, originating from Central Java, East Java, and special region of Yogyakarta. This is the last kingdom of Jawa until now, they have. And then at least 40.22% of Indonesian population was ethnic of Javanese. In the world, we are Javanese, maybe about 100 million of Javanese spirited in Indonesia, also in the overseas. There are also Javanese tribe in the country of New Caledonia and Suriname, because during the Dutch colonial period, the tribe were brought there as worker. Then currently the Javanese in Suriname are one of the largest tribe there are known as the Javanese of Suriname. A large number of ethnic Javanese in the most province of Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, and also the Netherlands. Originally, the Javanese people are an Austronesian people whose the ancestors are thought to have come from Taiwan or Yunnan in China, and then migrated through the Philippines to reach the island of Java between 1500 before Christ and 1000 before Christ. However, according to a recent genetic study, the Javanese together with the Sundanese and Balinese have almost the same ratio of genetic marker between the Austronesian and Austroasiatic genetic. And then the Javanese culture. Javanese culture is, as I informed before, that actually come from influenced by Indian culture and Indian civilization, that like Sanskrit, by the Sanskrit civilization that if I can tell about this. The Javanese culture is the culture that originated from Java and is embraced by the Javanese people, especially in North Banten, Northwest Java, Central Java, Yogyakarta, and East Java. Broadly speaking, Javanese culture can be divided into three, namely of the Javanese. It's like dialect of the Javanese. Is the colonial culture. Colonial culture is during North Banten until the West Central Java, and then Javanese culture and East Javanese culture. This when they are speaking is different dialect. Even they are similar of Javanese people. And then the cultural areas. The Central Javanese culture or Kejawen, we call Kejawen, is come from Sanskrit, is Kejawen is the name of for the Javanese culture in the name of the community of Javanese culture is called Kejawen. In the middle and coastal Javanese culture or Pasisiran. Pasisiran is in the north coast or the north pitch of the Javanese. Sundanese culture or Pasundan in the West Java, and then Osing culture or Belambangan in the far east. Actually, Osing culture is originally come from Majapahit, or it means this culture is come from Hindu and Buddhist culture that cannot they cannot combine with Islamic culture in Jawa. Also have Madurese culture or Madura is sometimes considered as faith, especially in the northern coastal area of the Horseshoe, given its close relationship with Javanese coastal culture. I mean, but for this culture is based on their dialect of the language. And then Indo-Javanese architecture is produced from the 3rd to the 16th century, include such monuments as the gigantic stupa of Borobudur and the Temple of Mendut, the Sewu Temple, and then Magnificent Sewa Temple of Prambanan, the holy bathing place of Jalatunda, and Belahan in mid of 11th century, and the round Hindu temple of Jabung. But actually, this temple is just smaller in statistically is smaller number of this. But if we saw in around of Java Island, is many of the temple is based on Hindu and also Buddhist temple. So actually, if I can tell that Indian philosophy and then Indian culture very, very influenced in Indonesia, especially for Javanese people. And then for the language, that's Austronesian language, which is mainly spoken by the Javanese people in the central and eastern Java part of the island Java. And then this language is known for having a large number of borrowed words from Sanskrit, especially found in Javanese literature. So actually, many of the name in Java is come from Sanskrit. So many of the people names come from Sanskrit too, like Utomo, and then some they use Sila, they use some of Sanskrit name for Javanese people. They sometimes the Wong So Tiracho is Wong So is come from Wong in Thai. Wong So is clan. The clan of Tircho like this. And then this is due to the long history of Hindu and Buddhist influence in Java. Most of the Javanese people use Javanese in their daily speech until now. Even me, because I'm a Javanese, so when in my daily life, when I speaking with my society, we use Javanese. In a survey conducted by Tempo magazine in the early of 1990s, approximately only 28% of Javanese use Indonesian as their daily language. Around 22% use Javanese and Indonesian mixed, and the rest use Javanese only. So, and some society they only use Javanese. They sometimes they don't understand about Indonesian language. Javanese has rules for different vocabulary and intonation based on the relationship between the speaker and the interlocutor, which is known as unggah-ungguh. So we are Javanese. When speaking with the older person, we must use soft speaker, soft language, and then different with our brother and sister. But when we speaking with our older brother, different with the older with the younger sister and brother, like this. Even with maybe our father or our grandfather, sometimes we must speaking in different spell of this language. So it's called unggah-ungguh. This aspect of language has a strong social influence in Javanese culture and makes Javanese people usually very aware of their social status in society. I think based on my experience in Thailand, sometimes I saw some Thai in Thai language. Sometimes they use this system to unggah-ungguh, or when we speaking with the monk, different with speaking with the lay person, such as like this. So for transcript and the script of this language, Javanese literacy, we use the history of Hanacaraka. The script of Jawa is called Hanacaraka. If in my language, Hono Coroko. So this we have 20 script, but another one is, if in Thai called Sara, like Sara in Thai, we have another Sara. This Hono Coroko, Toto Sawolo, Poto Choyonyo, Moko Potongo, and then the An Cho Ro, and this have another like Sara in Thailand. But this is not complete. If we complete, they have like Sara A, Sara E, Sara A, O, like this. Sorry, this my speaking also in Thai. I hope you can understand about this. And then this legendary history of Hanacaraka appears and is related to the story of Achisaka. Achisaka is some in the legend is some of Indian people who he arrived from Hindustan to Java. Therefore, it is not surprising to find Javanese place name or names that are similar to Indian place name or Indian place name or the name of the people. Yeah. The story of Achisaka is still upheld by the Javanese and is an inspiration for the inner and spiritual life of the Javanese. Originally, Javanese script is come from Palawan script or Brahmin script of India, but the during the Sultanate, we call Sultan Agung of Mataram, Islamic Mataram, they changed another some of Javanese script and then also Javanese language into some of Islamic society, Islamic culture. And that's it. In the 15th century until the mid 20th century, the Javanese language was actively written using the Javanese scripts, especially in Javanese literature and daily writing before its function was gradually replaced by Latin letters. This script is still taught in Yogyakarta, special region of Yogyakarta, Central Java and East Java, as a part of the local content, but with limited application in everyday life. So now Javanese script, not so much people can writing about this. And then come of Javanese philosophy. Javanese civilization has been influenced by more than 1,000 years of interaction between Kejawen and Hindu-Buddhist cultures. And this influence is still evident in Javanese history, culture, tradition, and art form. Javanese philosophy is basically universal, although Javanese philosophy was born from the result of Javanese culture. It can actually be useful for the people outside of Java Wales. Although it is universal, Javanese philosophy or Eastern philosophy in general has different with Western philosophy. In Eastern philosophy, including Javanese philosophy, the goal of to achieve perfection, while in the Western philosophy, the goal is wisdom. It means so actually in Javanese philosophy, because of this of Hindu and Buddhist or Indian philosophy, so we use like Buddhist, Hindu and Buddhist texts as the best of our mind or our philosophy. And then the classification of each philosophical dimension is adjusted to the branch of the philosophy, namely science, existence and first cause, matter and norm. So all of this have in our Javanese philosophy too. There's Javanese literature. This I think from this literature very close with Indian philosophy. The Serat in the old Javanese literature is Serat Candakarana, Serat Ramayana. This from the Ramayana or in Thai is Ramakin, Sang Hyang Amahinikan, and Brahma Danda Purana. And then another one is Arjuna Viwaha, Krishnayana, Sumana Santaka, Bhuma Kwaya, Bharata Yuddha, Hariwangsa, Gatot Kacasraya, and Semaradahana. And then another one, Brahma Purana, Kunjarakarna, Nagara Kartagama, Arjuna Wijaya, Sutasoma atau or Purusudasanta, Pratnya Yatnya, Niti Sastra, Nirata Prakrta, etc. It's when from this language is all of this literature is influenced by Indian. That's many of Javanese scholar in the ancient period, they inspired by Indian philosophy. So they interpret many of the book of Indian books such as Ramayana and Mahabharata, and then they make as some of the new book with this interpretation. So they come to the last influence of the Indian philosophy into Javanese. Actually, such as I tell before, that the influence of Indian culture was the first to come with the Hindu, Shiva, and Buddhist religions, which deeply penetrated and integrated into the traditional tradition and culture of the Javanese people. Royal Brahmanas and court would legitimize the rule of Javanese king. So during the Hindu and Buddhist kingdom, many of the king of the Javanese king, they use like the name of the Dewa, the name of the deities as a part of this name. So I think, such as in Thailand now, there's the king use the name of the Rama, and then another one, such as in Indonesia. For example, the king of Majapahit, they use the name of Kartarajasa, Jayawardhana, Iswara. So they use the name is based on the Saiwa or Siwa. And then like Kartanagara, they use some of the name of the Buddha, such as Aksobhya. So when the king, the rule of the kingdom has passed away, they make some statue based on their belief. So the statue, the symbolic of the king of Majapahit, they use the statue of Brahma and also Shiva. And then the king of Kartanagara, after he passed away, some of the people they use the symbol of Kartanagara is by Buddha. Although the royal they use the link Hindu cosmology to their political makeup, and although island, the latter can become the majority religion. Small pockets of Hindus were scattered across the island. Actually, in Javanese island, in my analysis, and then some of historians analyze that maybe every 700 years, Javanese people will change their belief, their philosophy, and then sometimes their religion. This based on the history that maybe about 15th century, many of people they change from the Hindu and Buddha to become Muslim. And then before, when 700 years before, they have another belief that is like dynamism and animism, such as like this. There is a significant Hindu population along the east coast near Bali Island, especially around the town of Banyuwangi. This with Osing, such as Osing culture. And then Javanese civilization has been influenced by more than 1,000 years of interaction between Kejawen and Hindu-Buddhist culture, and this influence is still evident in Javanese culture, Javanese history, culture, tradition, and art form. So maybe if all of you, when you come to my country, especially in Jawa and Bali, you will see many influence of Indian culture and philosophy, and also in our daily life. Even they are Muslim, even they are Christian, but we still use the culture and tradition based on Indian philosophy. I think this is my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I apologize, maybe my presentation is not so clear. So I will send my presentation also in my article. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Venerable Utomo. So I learned a lot from you today, and there are many knowledge that you have presented. So if we have more time next seminar, we will invite you to clarify a lot of points that need to be clarified more than that.
Thank you very much.
Just presented. Very good. Yes, I went to Indonesia many times, and I learned. There are many things that I doubted. I didn't find the answer. So today you have given me some answer.
Thank you very much.
As a part of this seminar. Now, without further ado, I should move this last section. Last professor who going to share the idea. He told me that he would like to propose after collecting a lot of information about the main theme, he would like to propose how can we make a Thai philosophy, because India, we learn Indian philosophy, but very very strange if we can hear Thai philosophy. Let's see how he going to present his idea to us. So I call upon Professor Dr. Sompan Promata, our great professor. The stage is yours, sir.
Thank you, Venerable. I think I have a small point for our discussion. That point is Buddhism as a source for making Thai philosophy. I have my personal experience to share with you first, and then we will discuss the rest of the things that I have presented. I used to study at Lung University, and there I have a number of good teachers. My thesis advisor wrote his doctoral thesis about existentialist and Buddhism, but he said to me that he is not a person who has a background in Buddhism, so he faced some limitation when he needs to discuss some Buddhist concept in detail. And he said to me one day that the difference between me and my professor is that I am the product of the classical education of the Sangha. He means I used to study the Pali language under the administration of the Thai Sangha, and this provides me the deep chance to read the Buddhist texts which are necessary for the discussion deeply about the concept in Buddhism. He said to me that suppose there is a person coming to Chulalongkorn University with the background in the study of classical education of the Sangha, and then that person has the chance to study Western philosophy. He said that this is the great combination to provide Thai philosophy. So I think when we study Western philosophy, as myself has the chance to study philosophy, one thing that remains in my mind is that how to make a Thai philosophy, or how to provide the person who can be called the Thai philosopher. I think this is the great subject. Buddhism, in my opinion, is different from other Indian philosophy in that it seems to me that the Buddha is the only religious master among many religious masters who allow his disciples to argue against his teaching. And in Europe, the person who studied this aspect of Buddhism always say that Buddhism share a thing which we call in philosophy the analytic spirit of philosophy. They mean that in Buddhism, we would find that the Buddha encouraged his students to analyze every concept that appears in the text. Modern philosophy seem to accept that the thing that we can do in study philosophy now is to analyze concepts. And this aspect of the philosophy of Western world seem to fit well with the Buddhist text. So I think if Mahachula has the student who has the background in the classical study provided by the Sangha, and this person decide to study Western philosophy. This might be the great combination. However, there are very few students who have the background in the classical teaching of the Buddha deciding to join the Western philosophy. So I think I encourage everyone who come to Mahachula to study. There is the track in the philosophy program which is intended to make a Thai philosophy or provide the property to be the Thai philosopher. And that track is Buddhist philosophy. I think this may be the great chance for Thailand to make a thing called Thai philosophy. But I need to explain more about a thing that I call Thai philosophy. Exactly, there are many sources for making the Thai philosophy. It could be possible that someone who only study Western philosophy can become a Thai philosopher. A Thai philosophy, in my opinion, is a kind of philosophy which is based on the spirit of Thai people. I think when we read the Tipitaka is chaired by Thai people, Indian people, Sri Lankan people, or Myanmar people. But I think when we read the Tipitaka, there must be a thing which is called natural difference. In philosophy, we said that reading is interpretation in itself. So when Thai people read the Tipitaka, it is not possible to read in the pure form. We have to interpret first and understand the contents of the Tipitaka. So Thai spirit would provide a thing that I call the analytic state from the Thai perspective. And if the person has the thing inside, when they talk, they would talk rationally. When they write, they would write rationally. And when they defend the teaching of the Buddha, they would defend rationally. And furthermore, I think there is one aspect which includes in the thing that I call Thai spirit is that we are the person who have the open mind. The good philosopher, according to me, is the one who have the good mind and the open mind. And I think Buddhism can provide this thing to students when they study Buddhist philosophy in Mahachula. So I would share this little point for encourage the discussion and the thought in the mind of those who are in this room to think about the making of Thai philosophy. And one way, in my opinion, to create a Thai philosophy is to utilize Buddhism, which based on the interpretation of the Thai spirit. I have some person as my example of the Thai philosopher. He is Buddhadasa. Thank you very much, Venerable.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. You proposed very tough, very tough task. Very tough task. Even me, I try. But let's see. Maybe we have to work hard. We have to work hard. Hard working. Maybe it can lead to the thing that you need. You want. I'll provide in the future. Anyway, sir. Many things comes up. Now it's time for Q&A. Most of us have been listening to a great scholar who presented many viewpoints on Indian philosophy. It influences future, past, future, and present. There are many things coming here. So I hope some of you will have some question that you want to make, and even you want to express your participation. You have learned something, and then you want to express what you have achieved in this seminar room. We still have time before we move to another session. So I would encourage all of you to put your question to any out of I think maybe at least 4 panelists still available in our online room. Then anyone can answer. You may mention the name, or you may mention your question, and then some of them will try to clarify. So please, we take this maybe 20 minutes, or if have not more than 30 minutes for Q&A. Please, you can ask. อาจารย์บัญชามีอะไรถามไหม อาจารย์ยังอยู่กับเราตั้งแต่เช้าหรือว่าท่านอาจารย์จรุนจากFaculty of Buddhism or any the most venerable พระครูโกศลศาสนบัณฑิตor any you may ask in Thai language, no problem.
May I not ask I'm Bansha.
Okay.
I'm not asked but สวัสดีอาจารย์สมภารอาจารย์สมภารผมทาครับI according to your mention of Thai philosophies and also what I may call Suvarnabhumi philosophies that we have something to think of that. I strongly agree with Ajahn and because if not, we will rely on others and what I have shared withท่านเจ้าคุณสุธีรัตนบัณฑิต that even now philosophy may change and more we have to adapt and adopt some new thinkings for future, not only go back so far to the past and rely on strictly only to the past. That is my idea after listen to Ajahn Sopan conclusion. Thank you very much, Ajahn. Oh, there is one more, Ajahn. Once I used to discuss with His Holiness Dalai Lama on, I asked His Holiness that how come even you are the no land, he is a refugee, and how come His Holiness can practice and can be respect from all around. His Holiness said that there is 3 levels of knowledge according to His Holiness mentioned, and also according to Buddhadasa's work. As I go through his manuscript, His Holiness said that philosophy open space for discussion, for debate, but scientific method, His Holiness said that scientific method is something strongly to prove that is application. But for him, he said that he regard Buddhism not only as philosophy and not only as religion, but he brings the scientific method to apply with let's say Buddhist philosophy, and he said that this is a knowledge that can practice and can be proved and then become religion. So His Holiness said that there is 3 levels of his idea on Buddhism as a philosophy, as scientific as scientific and also as a religion. And when I go back to go through Buddhadasa manuscript, he also mentioned like that the same. So may Ajahn Supan share some more aspect on this or not? Thank you.
I think we can learn many things from Buddhadasa. One time, the person in the department of philosophy discussed would we give the honorable PhD to some people. After our discussion, the conclusion is that there is only one person in Thailand deserving this honorary PhD from Department of Philosophy of Juฬา. He is Buddhadasa, but unfortunately he has passed away. And it seems to me that Buddhadasa has the deep influence even on my colleagues who study the pure Western philosophy. He has something that make these people respect him. So to say that how to see the great thing in Buddhadasa, I think it requires
Recording stopped.
The research, the long research. Thank you, Ajahn.
Anyone would like to ask, please?
Yes,
please. Chiang Mai, please.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Excuse me. Is my time or not?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Thank you. I came to Kerala in the southern parts of India, and also many times I came to Kandy. Then I saw Hela procession that according to the worshipping to the two lilies of the Lord Buddha, and also in the southern of India, also that is a deity worshipping from the Hindu people. Anyway, I would like to ask, and could you please give some ideas about what that is abusing animals or worshipping to the Buddha, which one that's making merit, or we do some not good thing to animal or not? That's my question. Is clear enough, right? Or you want to repeat again about my question? That's I saw by my eyes that Pelahela or even in Kerala that worshipping about the deities and also the two lilies of Buddha, or even lilies of Buddha or anyone, anything that it are concerned about the abusing of elephants. They will chain with 2 legs or 4 legs every time on the procession. That is worshipping really, or what else? That's I would like to get answer correctly from which people.
If this question is put forward to me from Sri Lanka, if you are the one who wrote a message in chat box, actually I answered the question there as well. Well, this is a tricky question in the sense that, you see, we are now in this seminar talking about philosophy, okay? So philosophical perspective, we could penetrate everything in the sense, if it is morally okay, intellectually okay, you see, not only from the religious point of view. As I wrote in that chat box, you see, this sort of, devotion sort of things were not much praised by Lord Buddha, as you all know, okay? So unfortunately, you see, particularly because of Indian influence, in the sense that, you see, Hinduism influenced a lot to Buddhism, you see, positively and negatively. if you look at the genesis of Mahayanism and Vajrayanism, Tantrayanism and all, you will notice how this devotion kind of elements crept into our Buddhist traditions. Okay, so being the Hinayanic countries, Thailand, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka, and being the sensitive Buddhists, I mean those Buddhists who follow the true teachings of Tipitaka. I don't think, I mean, this is very personal view. I don't think the relic is such a holy or sacred thing. Okay, so what is more important is Patipatti. Look at how many of us actually practice meditation. Okay, so when I see some people on the screen, I feel like this gentleman is practicing meditation. So from the tone, from the way he behaves and all, we could observe that, oh, this person is a meditator. So meaning that from the behavior, outward behavior, you can judge people. I mean to say that now you see people kidnapped religion, like, you know, the in the name of the religion, you can do any sort of nonsense things. So we should interpret them whether they are actually in line with our teachings or not. We have to look at. So sometimes this social politicism and this political interference in the religion and all, you see, this is a big topic. Even in the past in Sri Lanka, you see the relic has been used as kind of a sign of royal, how can I say, claim, like, you know, if you want to be the king of the country, then you should possess the very relic of Lord Buddha. So this much it went on. So these things to me and to many true Buddhists are kind of superficial things. So as I said, actually Lord Buddha did not only talk about human rights, but rights of all species, including animals. You see, in Karaniya Sutra, you could see. Okay, so deer or fowl, you see the way the Metta Sutta is preached. You know, it doesn't exclude any species. So that is the very stance of true Buddhism. So look at the foreigners, how they hunted elephants and other animals just for fun. You see, they killed so many crocodiles, elephants, deers, sambas, and so many in this part of country, this part of the world and all. So anyway, they have got rid of that habit, and no longer they kill. They are addicted to such sort of habits, except fishing. You see, but this is of course the simply violation of animal rights. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, oh, very clear. So, two more questions if we can have, please. To make the point that we heard clearer and clearer, and then we can learn together. So many things come up today.
I would like to ask Hante from Chawa. Hante from Chawa, are you be here? About the influence of Indian philosophy in Chawa. What we have seen in influence of the Indian philosophy in Chawa, what we can see.
Okay, may I have question?
You okay? All right. I would like to know what the influence of Indian philosophy in Chawa, your hometown.
โอเคครับอาจารย์ I will answer. Can I directly answer, Pak Chan Panjai? Yeah.
Yeah. Answer.
ครับผมครับ Actually, many of Indian philosophy in Javanese culture as we live. Even I am originally Javanese people. That's during in my society. Even they are become Muslim and also any some of Christianity. But many of the some tradition is based on the Indian. Even in our view of life, I think all in Indonesia we are based on Indian philosophy, such as even they are Muslim, but they still thinking how about they still pay respect to some of God in some area, and then they make some tradition such as in the palace, the Japanese palace, they use some ceremony. Even in Muslim, in Islam, they didn't have their ceremony, but only the change of the mantra or of the when swat mon. So when they use in Arabic, but for the system and then for the system of the ceremony, they use based on Javanese and Indian thing, based on Sanskrit and Indian culture like this. And also in our view, such as in Indonesian view, we use Pancasila and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. This come from Sanskrit language. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika is our motto. Indonesian motto is unity and diversity. It's come from the book of the old book in the Sanskrit language, and then many of the story that come from and some similarity with Indian story, but we some of people we interpret it into the new culture of Java, like this, Pak Chan.
Okay, thank you very much. Very clear. Thank you.
ครับผมอาจารย์
Maybe I will visit you there. Okay, thank you.
Please come. We are welcome, อาจารย์
Last question. If we're gonna have Mr. Sompos, you would like to ask some question?
Yes, Sadhu.
Very short, very short.
Yes, very short. And thank you so much, Venerable Moderator here. Now I have a small question to my question provide to Venerable Dr. Bandit Utamo Tethe Sampano, Venerable, at the moment, and how to widespread the Buddhism into the Javanese people. Yes, at the time, because based on the theme of seminar related in the future, in the present, but now my question relate in the future. Depend on your own opinion. How do you think that, and how the way to convey the Buddhism message in move to local Javanese communities, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay, ครับอาจารย์ Actually for Buddhist people, even now, when the development of Buddhist people from Javanese people, actually from the 16th, about 1916s, after coup of the communists at the time, many of Buddhists they changed from the Islam come to the Buddhist. Even in our, I believe in our Javanese community. So why I become Buddhist? Because my father and my mother they changed become Buddhist in 1967 or 1970s like this. And then actually for the future, I think we have bright. I think we have hope we have many. We can hope that many of Javanese people can be Buddhist. It means now we have some missionary. I have even from Thailand, from even Indonesian monk himself. Yeah, we can be free to make some temple in every time. Even this they have legacy from the government, and then our government with the Ministry of Religious Affairs and the Ministry of Religious Affairs, we have the General Director of Buddhist Society. Yes, this from the government. They give us some program like pilgrim program to Borobudur, and then every year they give us the funding from the government, funding to make some temple, renovate of the temple, monastery, and also now they help us to make Buddhist school, and then some of Buddhist college like this. Even me, I become one of the member from the conceptor of Buddhist pilgrim in Borobudur temple, and also become one of the team for the accreditation board for Buddhist college like this. This under the government board like this. So I think in the future, I think I am very optimistic that we can grow up in Indonesia. Buddhism in Indonesia will grow up even in Javanese. Now the population of Javanese Buddhists in Central Java, I think more than 5,000 people. Yes. In Central Java, they spread into 1, 2, 3, about 5 districts. In 5 districts, in nearly Borobudur, we have some district about more than 150 of the temple. But this temple is like small temple in the some village, but without monk, because now our monk only less than 500 people, monk, nun, and then even in Theravada, in Mahayana, and Asal Vajrayana, all of Indonesia, this less than 500 people. So many of the temples is still empty, except maybe in Vesak Day or Katin, and then some monk they come to make ceremony in this temple. That actually is very traditionally. So maybe next time we can make some research about how Buddhist in Javanese people is. Even the tradition, in the tradition we use Javanese tradition too as a missionary method for Buddhism, and this supported by government very well. And then also in Central West Java, in East Java, they have some community. Buddhist community too. West Java is all of Javanese. If Chinese people, they spread in Sumatra and Borneo, and also some of the city in Indonesia. But except that in the village and everything, that's all of Javanese people. So we Buddhist. Okay, like this time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. On of us have been listening and learning many things from the cinema today. Now these sessions come to an end. So I, as a moderator, I am sure that my duty in moderating the session, I think it's okay. If somebody do not agree that I am okay, please forgive me. So we have a limited time, so we will move to another session. Presentations. Thank you very much. I would like to express my sincere thanks to my groups of panelists who come to discuss the difficult topic and very vast and wide topic. So I think and I believe that we have learned something out of what we presented today. And this will, ignite our mind and our research work in the future, and in our study in every related subject. It will bring a lot of result and outcome. What we learned today will help us to broaden our view on the knowledge on the region related with ancient time, linked to in these regions. And for me, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for paying your attention and being patient while we have this discussion. So my moderator task is finished. Thank you very much. Move to Ajahn Khaimuk.
Shall we move to the last section of our seminar?
Yes.
Okay, the last section is about the paper presentation. Lecturer, student, and researcher are going to present academic paper in related field. And we have 6. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And fortunately, number 4, Venerable Bodhi Uttamo already presented his paper. So we can start with the 6th number.
Okay. We start from Venerable Indakara and others under the title Buddhist Approach to the Development of Well-being of Life, with special reference to the story of Ajatasattu from a BSc student from Myanmar. Okay.
So, Venerable, are you here?
If Venerable is not ready, can we move to another? I see the Mr. Serdar Chilov already in this room, right? Mr. Serdar Chilov. Okay, you can start presenting your paper right now. Please switch on your microphone. Okay. Serdar Chilov, teacher of English and TOEFL from Ashgabat, Turkmenistan.
Okay, so do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me begin my presentation, dear colleagues. So my presentation is about teaching. What is teaching and how we approach it. So in my profession of teacher of English, I often ask myself, what is teaching? So, and in my work, so I need to move to the second slide. So let me introduce myself. I am teacher of English. I have more than 20 years of experience, and I ask myself, what is teaching? So what is teaching? Is it only a transfer of knowledge from one person to another, or is it something more? So, and I have 2 aspects to discuss with you. Teaching as a continuous process of self-teaching, and teaching as a process of learning together with the student. So let's begin with the first aspect. So teaching as a continuous process of self-teaching. So it means it has also other titles. So self-teaching means self-education, professional development, further training and qualification upgrade. So these are all synonyms. So this is a necessary and lifelong process which every teacher undergoes throughout his or her career to grow both professionally and personally. We all know this. We all studied for many years to get our bachelor's degree, then master's degree. Some of us go for PhD degree. We also learn from seminars like this one, for example, conferences, articles, books, from communicating with each other. So in order to reach the new heights of the knowledge. So that's why the rocket is here. So, and let me move on. So the knowledge in the field of teaching is continuously developing, and we must too. We must learn new teaching methods and master new teaching techniques to stay in touch with the latest educational trends. Failing to do so might result in losing the professional skills and sometimes the moral right to be called teacher. In this sense, every teacher must be, first of all, his or her own teacher or his or her own student. We can use both here. So this is about the first aspect, teaching as self-teaching also. Let me talk about the second aspect, teaching as a process of learning together with the student. So I can use here a metaphor as a Sherpa guide who helps the mountain climbers to reach the highest mountains tops. A good teacher passes the route from the bottom to the heights of the knowledge over and over again with every new student. So I think we all feel this every time when we teach our students, dear colleagues. So, and in this sense, teaching as a learning with the student is similar to parents' care for children. So if my student doesn't have any knowledge of English, I should begin with the very beginning, with the alphabet, and learn the alphabet myself, the 10th or even the 100th time again, together with my student. So, hence the teacher encourages the student and increases the confidence in his or her own capabilities, in students' own capabilities. So learning together with students means like being a guide, being a helper, the one who continuously helps the students. So learning together also means finding out what the students really needs. Perhaps the child does not have enough motivation to learn foreign language. Probably the child
เสียงหายค่ะ
He may experience technical problem there. Soda.
Maybe something wrong, right? Not well.
Maybe.
No
I
sound.
think he got disconnected.
Yes, I think so.
What we should do now? What we should do now? Anyway, he is far away. Far away. Anyway, yes, I think what he presented.
Hello, Ajahn. Are you call me?
Yes. You please prepare.
Sorry, Ajahn. I'm going to bathroom.
Okay. I think. Okay, Venerable, please you start. Please try to shorten your presentation.
Yes, Ajahn.
Yeah, please. 5 to 10 minutes.
10 minutes, yes, Ajahn.
Yeah.
Firstly, good afternoon, all Indian philosophy and audience and ladies and gentlemen. Today, I'm going to present about my article. My article's name is Buddhist Approach to the Development of Well-being of Life, with special reference to the story of Ajarasattu. Sorry, Ajay. Abstract. The article is today body approaches to the